Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Art Hour of Literary Tales. I'm your host, Paul Krause, and in this episode, we continue an examination of the artwork of Paul Rubens and turn to his great and influential painting, which forever changed our understanding of the story of Hero and Leander. The story of Hero and Leander is also one of my favorite stories of classical literature, and since it is depicted by Paul Rubens, who is also my favorite artist, it is important for us to understand what is going on in the painting and the consequential influence that Rubens has had over our cultural memory of Hero and Leander as a result of his painting. Rubens depicted the famous pair of lovers in one of his earlier paintings, which is reflective of the Italian style before he became more mature in his Northern Baroque style. And as we look at it, we see Leander dead in the midst of the stormy seas and Hero plunging to her death to be united with him. In the traditional story, Hero, a priestess of Aphrodite, is dedicated to virginity in her service to the goddess. Her beauty, though, attracts the attention of Leander, who professes his love for her, her charms, and her beauties, but confesses, in a moment of honesty, that Aphrodite will never bless their love. Hero, nevertheless, forsakes her vows, and the two have sex to consummate their love together. Leander leaves, and Hero, every night, lights a lamplight to guide him back to her across the Hellespont. Leander braves stormy seas and waves to come to the woman he loves. Aphrodite, however, will not allow such sacrilege to go unpunished. One night, a great storm blows out the light of Hero, and Leander is lost, swimming in the maelstrom. He dies. Hero finds his body washed up on the shore one morning and decides to die with him. The two, so united in life, are now united in death. The classical tale cautions against the storms of the passions and the death drive that the passions bring. Hence, Leander dies in a storm, symbolizing his lusty passions and the chaos that the passions induce. Likewise, Hero dies guilty of forsaking her vow of chastity, which merits the wrath of Aphrodite and the gods. Rubens, however, takes a different approach to the story. In the midst of the Catholic Counter-Reformation and the attempt to sanctify classical mythology as it was inherited out of the Renaissance tradition, Rubens reinterprets the story of Hero and Leander as one of sanctifying love. This is reflected in his painting, principally by looking at the death of Leander. What strikes us as we see Leander sprawled out in death at the center of the painting is how he is similar to Christ. He is depicted as a Christ-like figure. Note how he is sprawled out in death, echoing the crucifixion of Christ, stretched out as if he is on a cross. He is somebody who has been martyred for love. Rubens, of course, was familiar with the classical story, but he had another agenda on his mind when he painted it. Theologizing the story with the impetus of sacrificial love, Rubens reinterpreted the death of Leander as resulting of his love for Hero, and not the capriciousness of the petty pagan gods, as conceived and recorded in the classical tradition. Thus, Leander becomes the embodiment of an in situ Christ. Greater love hath no man than this, that he would lay down his life for his friends, or in this specific case, his beloved. And that is exactly what Leander did in Rubens's depiction, again principally seen by how Leander is depicted as a Christ-like figure. Moreover, the infinity point in the upper left-hand corner and the center of the painting depicts the light of heaven shining down on Leander. The light of heaven shines down on him, signifying heaven's approval and sanctification of his love. Leander did not die of lust, per the classical story, nor of the sacrilege of despoiling the temple of Aphrodite. Instead, in Rubens's imagination and depiction, Leander died because of love. His devotion, his love for Hero, would unite him with his lover and her with him. For love, according to St. Thomas Aquinas, who was a major intellectual influence on Rubens, is the unitive force. Rubens, therefore, takes a story of tragedy and warning against the passions and sanctifies it and redeems it. He humanizes it and gives it new life, which influenced all subsequent painting and artistic traditions in understanding the story. The tragedy speaks to the triumph of love. The passions are not to be scorned, but celebrated. In doing so, Rubens offers an early manifestation of what German philosophy and art would later call love-death, the Lebenstod. It is principally from the hands of Rubens that this story, in offering a sanctification of Leander's love, that would come to influence the next 400 years of our cultural consciousness and memory of this story, with so many subsequent artists emphasizing in their depictions the love of Hero and Leander, often focusing on Hero's discovery of Leander's body on the beach, which fills us with a pathology of tragic love. We take pity and compassion on these lovers. Note again that Leander, though dead, is the embodiment of calmness, orderliness, and serenity amid the chaos, the darkness, the death that surrounds him. His body is not dark or decaying like the surrounding seas. His body is softly guided by the Nereids to the shore to be deposited in grace for Hero to find, preserved from all the decay and the corruption that death brings. As mentioned, the light of heaven shines down upon him, signifying the approval of Leander's love. He is painted in the form of Christ. He has died, according to Rubens, for love, love of his beloved. And to any Christian reader, interpreter, or observer of the painting, that should strike us as being very similar to the story of the death of Christ, who died for his beloved, the church. Hero, who we can also see off to the right-hand side of the painting, plunges to her death. She is draped in the colors of blue and red, the symbolic colors of faith, blue, and love, red. And these colors are often employed in Renaissance and Baroque artwork to signify a certain symbolism as part of the story. Hero is plunging in faith and love to be united with Leander. Her arms are outstretched as if to embrace her lover, to be united with him, even in death. Rubens is therefore asserting, again, a sanctification of their love. Hero does not join him in suicide, but joins Leander in faith and love. The two will be united no matter what has transpired in this world. In Rubens's dramatic painting, the two lovers are being brought together because love unites all things, even in death. Their love is sanctified in Rubens' painting. He does not condemn them. Instead, he focuses on their movements, the movement of love that incites and invites energy and passion to unite the souls who are so governed by the mystic power of love that even in tragedy, love reigns supreme. And that is exactly what this painting is depicting. Rubens entirely excises the capriciousness of Aphrodite in the story and humanizes the love of Hero and Leander and gives it a Christian glossing. in humanizing their love and giving it the blessing of the light of heaven, Rubens is telling us that love, even in death, trumps all things. 400 years after Rubens gave to the world this great painting, we no longer see the death of Hero and Leander in the light of the classical storytellers. We see it in the light of the sanctified love that Rubens depicted and that all subsequent artists and storytellers have latched onto.